Yo, Atlas speaking and welcome to a brand new series on the channel. What if I was reincarnated into the world of slime and became a legendary figure with my Shadow Monarch system? Synopsis: a teenager one day wakes up in a new world as the adopted son of Luminous Valentine. How will he do in a world filled with monsters, demon lords, and true dragons capable of destroying a whole country with just one attack? Make sure to check out the author linked in the description, and without further ado, let the tale begin. Chapter 1: New Life. I was floating in a never-ending pool of darkness. How did I even end up here? Where am 17? Who am 17? Questions like that filled my mind as I tried to remember, but all my memories were blurry. What the hell is going on? I started to panic. I tried to move but found myself unable to move even a finger. I tried to yell, but not a sound came out. I couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't feel anything. Time passed, and I was tired, so I just stayed there, floating, having given up on ever getting out of this place. Was it pathetic to just give up? Probably, but I didn't care after spending however long one was stuck here. More time passed, and my memories started to get clearer. I was the youngest and had two older siblings. An older brother who treated me as his punching bag every time he was angry. No, he would treat me like that whenever he wanted to. While my parents made me do everything from cooking, cleaning, and everything else they could come up with so I could stay inside the house, or, more precisely, in the basement. My older sister was the nicest out of my whole family by treating me like trash, not worth even looking at. She even gave me her old phone when she threw it at me one time, and it broke. The screen was cracked, and the bottom part didn't work, but the top was still readable, and that's how I learned about light novels. Reading them in secret every night so they wouldn't notice I had the phone. It became my favorite time of the day, just reading various novels in the dark and cold basement. Confirmation complete. Acquiring resist skill, cold resistance. The other was the school library I could go to and read. I was also happy in school. While the kids avoided me, the teacher treated me like every other student. When I got my grades for the first time, I was excited, thinking my parents would be proud of me for the first time, but when I showed them to my parents, they could care less about my grades. On the other hand, my brother beat me up due to getting worse grades than me. As I got older, I understood there wasn't anything I could do, so I just tried my best not to anger anyone, and so time flew by. Then one night, after starting a new volume of a novel I had recently started reading, I went to sleep, and now I'm here. Am I dead? Strangely, I wasn't sad thinking that, having spent my whole life hearing things like, "You are a waste of space, and you should just kill yourself." If anything else, this made me want to laugh. Thinking that they would probably celebrate if I died. Actually, death isn't that bad. Confirmation complete. Acquiring ultimate skill, God of Death, Hades. Unsuccessful. Repeating attempt. Failed. Repeating attempt. Failed. Downgrading ultimate skill, God of Death, Hades, to ultimate skill, Shadow Monarch, Ashborn, __ unsuccessful. Repeating attempt. Failed. Downgrading ultimate skill, Shadow Monarch, Ashborn, to unique skill, Shadow Lord. Successful. Warning: body is in critical condition. Confirmation complete. Acquiring common skill, self-regeneration. Successful. Huh. A voice: so I'm not dead? Then I felt pain spreading throughout my body, like millions of needles stabbing me. My eyes opened, www. I tried to say, but my throat was dry, and speaking was too painful. I managed to stand up with difficulty. My legs were wobbly, and it felt like I would fall if I tried to take a step, but I ignored it and looked around. The room was small and empty, besides the wooden bowl with what looked like soup near a big wooden door and a bucket in the corner. The door was massive compared to me. At first, I was confused, but then I panicked and looked at my hands. I saw two small, pale, and bruised hands I didn't recognize. I woke up in an unknown room. Everything was bigger than it should have been, and I couldn't even recognize my hands. Did I really die and reincarnate? I looked at the clothes I was wearing. They were gray and torn, looking like they weren't washed for weeks. Then out of nowhere, before I could do anything else, a translucent blue screen appeared before my eyes. Name, Kale. Titles, Slave, Adopted Prince. Level, 1, 0 out of 100 EXP. Magicules, 1000. Stats. Strength, 10-20%-8. Vitality, 10-20% -8. Agility, 10-20% = 8. Intelligence, 10. Perception, 10. Remaining points, 0. While I was looking with wide eyes at the screen, the door unlocked, and a red-headed fat man with a big scar above his right eye and medieval-looking clothes walked in and looked at me with disdain. "Good, you're still alive. You should have learned your lesson now," he said, grabbed my arm, and dragged me out of the room. We passed a dark corridor before he walked upstairs without slowing down, making me trip and be dragged up the stairs before being thrown into a different room. "Now, you will think before doing something stupid again," the bastard said and slammed the door shut before a locking noise could be heard. "Kale, are you hurt?" a girl asked as she ran to me. She was around 10 years old with blonde hair and bright green eyes. She checked my body for injuries, and I winced in pain. Tears started forming in her eyes. "Why did you agree to do that?" she said and started crying into my shoulder. I didn't know what to do, so I stayed silent and looked around. The room we were currently locked in was large compared to the one I was locked in before and had what looked like 4 dirty sleeping mats on the floor and a single candle to light the room. Besides the girl and me, there was another boy who looked like a male version of the girl but maybe slightly older. "We had to do it," Mal the boy said, looking at her and then looking at me. "I got it," he said, showing a rolled parchment of paper and a knife. "We are getting out tomorrow." He rolled up the parchment showing us a map. "We are somewhere around here and must get all the way to here," he said, tracing his finger from a location that looked like a forest in the middle of nowhere and stopping under the text Holy Empire Robertos. "When we arrive in the Empire, we can find shelter in the church. Maybe even become holy knights." Then, he started telling us the escape plan. The plan was simple, but there wasn't anything better we could do to escape, especially as kids. "When one of the slave traders comes here to give us food, we will use the knife and stab him before making a run for it." After going through the plan, we hid the map and knife under a loose plank on the floor and went to sleep. But I couldn't fall asleep and looked at the ceiling. It's because I recognized the name of the Empire. It's where the novel I read before reincarnating here. The story is about a salaryman who is murdered and reincarnates in a world with swords and magic as a slime with unique powers and builds his own nation of monsters. I didn't see the Jura Tempest Federation on the map, so that means I'm before it was created or the map is old. But the Holy Empire Rubrios, the nation is led by Holy Emperor Luminous Valentine, who, secretly is a vampire and subordinate of Demon Lord Luminous Valentine, the god of luminism, and the true ruler of Robertos. Is it the best option we have? Maybe we should try to go to another country? I chuckled. If I'm honest, serving a vampire doesn't sound bad compared to everything in my previous life. Chapter 2, Penalty Quest. The races in this world could be categorized into 4 different categories: humans, demi-humans, spirits, and monsters. There are different types of power ranking systems in this world, but the most used one is the one created by the Free Guild system. It classifies monsters and other hostiles by considering various variables such as magical count, physical strength, defensive capabilities, speed, skills, and intelligence. Then they are given a rank between F rank to Special S rank. F rank, a ranking assigned to those with little to no combat capabilities. E rank, a ranking assigned to those who possess power equivalent to the average human adult. D rank, a ranking assigned to those with power equivalent to a soldier, requiring a group of at least 3 or 4 average humans to defeat. C rank, a ranking assigned to those with power equivalent to or above an experienced soldier with professional training. B rank, a ranking assigned to threats that have the potential to wipe out an entire village single-handedly. A rank, a ranking assigned to threats that have the potential to severely damage an entire town, requiring the deployment of several high-ranking adventurers or a nation's knights to be taken care of. Special A rank, a ranking assigned to threats that have the potential to destroy a small-sized nation, requiring the deployment of a nation's army or a champion-class individual to defeat. S rank, a ranking assigned to demon lords and those of equivalent power, requiring a large nation's entire military and the deployment of their champions to defeat. Special S rank, a ranking assigned to threats that no singular nation could hope to stand up against, such as true demon lords and true dragons. But there was also the Tempest system. It was a modified version of the free guild system that used EP to rank individuals. EP is a numerical measurement of existence value called existence points that measures someone's magical amount. E-class, a ranking given to those with an EP below 1000. D-class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 1000 and 3000. C-class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 3000 and 6000. B-class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 6000 and 8000. B-plus class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 8000 and 9000. A-class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 9000 and 10,000. A-class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 10,000 and 100,000. It is also equivalent to Hazard class. Special A class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 100,000 and 400,000. It is equivalent to Calamity class. S class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 400,000 and 800,000. It is equivalent to Disaster class. Special S class, a ranking given to those with an EP between 800,000 and 1 million. Million class, a ranking given to those with an EP over 1 million. Catastrophe class, the sole ranking used by Tempest that relies on combat power instead of existence points, reserved only for those with transcendent power that begins to approach the domain of true dragons. For reference, a Holy Knight Captain would have an EP value of around 300,000, while an Awakened Demon Lord would have an EP value of at least 800,000. I sighed. Why couldn't I finish reading the novel before reincarnating here? Then I remembered the status screen before me when I woke up. How do I bring it up? In most novels with systems, the user just needs to say status, I thought, and the same blue screen appeared. Name, Kale #/ and asterisk and caret. Titles, Slave, Adopted Prince. Level, 1, 0 out of 100 EXP. Magicules, 1000. Stats. Strength, 10-20%-8. Vitality, 10-20%-8. Agility, 10-20%-8. Intelligence, 10. Perception, 10. Remaining points, 0. But how exactly do the different stats work? Does the intelligence stat make me smarter? I don't feel smarter or dumber from my previous life, so what do 10 points in intelligence mean? Intelligence increases learning speed and memory. I raised my eyebrow when the text window appeared. Well, that's interesting. The system showed me what I was thinking about. Testing how this works, I started thinking about wanting to know what perception does. It didn't take long before another text screen appeared. Perception increases ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. So the system knows what I'm thinking. Not creepy at all. I also remembered the voice I heard before waking up. It should have been the voice of the world, but didn't it also say I got another skill? Then, as if it was something inscribed into my soul, I knew what skills I had and what they did. Unique skill, Shadow Lord. It's the ability to raise the dead in the form of shadows, and it has other sub-skills such as thought acceleration and chant annulment. Then the second skill I got was the common skill, self-regeneration, a skill that restores the user's damaged body over time. It can even restore lost limbs as long as one is not in a situation where they are continuously chopped off or crushed. And the last one, resist skill, cold resistance. It reduces all cold damage. But what about my titles? I mentally asked the system. Title, slave minus 20% to all physical stats until freed. Of course, a debuff right of the gate. At least it will disappear when I escape. What about the fake prince title? Title, adopted prince. Due to being adopted by, the race won't be aggressive towards you. Me a prince? But who adopted me? There could be a few, but judging by the race won't be aggressive towards me part of the title. So it's likely a non-human race. Then why am I here? Shouldn't someone be watching over me so I don't end up as a slave? Sighing, there wasn't anything to do, so I tried to fall asleep. It felt like hours had passed, and I stared at the wooden ceiling, unable to fall asleep until a new screen popped up. You have not completed the daily quest. You are now heading towards the penalty zone for a certain period of time. Walt, what daily quest? I never got any information about it. Suddenly, instead of being in a locked room, I was in a desert in the middle of nowhere. Walt, why does this feel familiar? Penalty quest, survive. Goal, survive until time runs out. Time left, 4 hours 0 minutes 0 seconds. Shit! I cursed and remembered where I'd seen this before. Asterisk scree. I suddenly heard a loud screech behind me. Turning around, I saw a glant centipede lunging itself at me. I didn't have time to think as I ran with all I could to survive. Why couldn't I get a normal system? I yelled, mentally asking if I angered some god to be punished like this. As I ran for my life, more centipedes started emerging from the sand, and I tried to apologize to every god I knew for anything wrong I did to deserve this. Living in the cold basement was much better than this. I ran and ran, avoiding all the centipedes. I felt like I would fall due to exhaustion, and another centipede emerged right before me. It lunged at me, and I could dodge. Then, as I was about to become the centipede's dinner, I suddenly appeared in the locked room again. You have completed the penalty quest. Your reward for completing the penalty quest has arrived. Would you like to accept? Accept/refuse. I looked around the room. Everyone was asleep, and there I stood, drenched in sweat and out of breath. I didn't have the chance even to accept the reward as I passed out due to exhaustion. Chapter 3, Escape, Part 1. The next day we waited until we made our escape. I hid behind the door waiting with the knife in my hand for the slave trader to enter with the food. I was nervous and shaking slightly. My body felt better than yesterday, but I was still weak. When we heard the keys clinging, we gave each other one last nod before I took a long breath and steeled myself for what was about to happen. The door swung open, blocking my view, but the same slave trader I saw yesterday went inside the room with a bucket and 4 wooden bowls. Without even checking if everyone was there, he threw the bowls at them, and as he was about to drop the bucket with what looked like soup inside, I put in all my strength and jumped at him, plunging the knife into his throat. Then, holding the knife with all I had, I dragged it down while falling, spilling the slave trader's blood everywhere. Now! Alden, the blonde-haired boy, yelled, and we ran out of the room as the slaver trader tried to scream, but only a gurgling sound came out. I followed them, and it didn't take long before we found the exit out of this place. As we left the house, a large forest coupled with mountain terrain could be seen. I would look at the beautiful scenery if this weren't a life-and-death situation. 100 EXP for killing, human. Magicules increased by 100. You leveled up. All attributes increased by 1. I felt a slight warmth inside my body, but I didn't have time for this, so I mentally willed them away without stopping. We ran with all we had through the forest, following after Alden. He had the map and knew where we were, so I trusted him to know how to navigate through the forest. We didn't even run for 5 minutes before shouts from the other slave traders could be heard in the distance, followed by the barking of a dog. Fuck the money. I will skin them alive. Even with our few-minute head starts, they quickly caught up to us. Looking back, I saw 2 slave traders running with a dog, and I cursed mentally. They are catching up to us. I shouted and tried to run faster, but we weren't fast enough, and after running for another 5 minutes, I could feel the dog beast behind me. The large dog lunged at me, making me fall, but I still had the knife, so I stabbed it, making it fall off me and giving me a chance to escape. "You aren't going anywhere," one of the slave traders yelled and grabbed my wrist. I saw the other stop and try to help me. "Run. If you stay, they will catch all of us." I yelled at them and tried to kick the slave trader, but it didn't do anything. The slave trader tightened the grip around my hand, making me drop the knife, and angrily looked me straight in the eye. "You have pissed off the wrong people," he said and, with his other hand, grabbed me by the neck, lifting me in the air. I tried kicking or punching him, but he didn't move. His grip around my neck tightened, and his grin widened. "I guess this is it. My second life will end just after one day." I wanted to chuckle. Living a happy life isn't for me. If I get a third chance, maybe it would be better. A loving family, perhaps even friends? Yeah, as if anyone would want to be friends with someone worthless like me. 50 EXP for killing animal. Magicules increased by 50. The rewards. I remembered the penalty quest rewards I never redeemed. Your reward for completing the penalty quest has arrived. Would you like to accept? Accept/refuse. I accept. I yelled in my mind as my surroundings started to get blurry. The following rewards are available. Reward number 1, 3 stats points. Reward number 2, plus 100 magicules. Would you like to collect them all? Why yes. Remaining points, 0 to 3. Magicules, 1250 to 1350. Put all in strength. Allocated 3 points into strength. Strength 11 to 14. Due to title, slave, strength decreased to 11, a warm feeling spread throughout my body, and I felt stronger than before. I would enjoy it if it wasn't for the fact that I was choked. Stronger than me or not, there is one place on the male body that will hurt when kicked. I needed only a moment to get the knife and kill him, or at least stab him so he won't be able to follow me. Willing all the strength I had left in my body, I kicked the slave trader in between the crotch. His eyes widened as his grip around my neck loosened enough for me to push away and land on the grass. I gasped, finally able to breathe, and quickly located the knife before swiftly picking it up as the slave trader lunged himself at me. I turned around to face him, and when he saw the knife, the anger was gone, replaced with fear as his face became pale and his eyes widened, but it was too late as it plunged into his heart. A momentary silence filled the area as I twisted the knife. 100 EXP for killing human. Magicules increased by 100. I pushed his body off me, and the area became silent. Only thing I could hear was my breathing before the notification from my system appeared. Title, slave, has been removed. All attributes returned to normal. I'm free, huh? Ah. I didn't have time to think about it as the silence was broken by a loud scream. Shit, I forgot about the other one. I was torn between running the other way or trying to save them, but I remembered yesterday when the girl cried seeing the state I was in. That was the first time someone cared for me. In my previous life, everyone treated me like trash or avoided me. But did she even care for me? No. She cared for the boy I took the body of. Fuck, I cursed and quickly stood up, my legs hurting from all the running before, but I forced myself to run. I will probably regret not running away when I have the chance. After running to where I heard the scream, I saw the other slave trader holding the screaming Maya's Alden was motionless near a tree. I hid behind a large rock and tried to come up with a plan, but nothing came to mind besides trying a surprise attack. Chapter 4, Escape, Part 2. Status. I thought, and the blue status screen appeared. Name, Kale. Titles, Adopted Prince. Level, 2, 150 to 200 EXP. Magicules, 1,450. Stats. Strength, 14. Vitality, 11. Agility, 11. Intelligence, 11. Perception, 11. Remaining points, 0. I looked at my status. My stats increased, and the 20% debuff was gone. I started moving in between the trees and rocks silently. Well, silently, due to Mal's screams. "I will enjoy my time with you," the slave trader said as she tried to free herself from his grasp, and I gritted my teeth hearing it. People like that should die in the most painful way. But, unfortunately, he will get an easy death. As I got close enough, I took a deep breath, tightening my grip around the knife handle. There was about a 5 meters gap between me and him, so I ran at full speed. The slave trader was not expecting anything until I was too late. I put all my strength into it as the blade went through his back and into his heart. He turned his head around with wide eyes to stare into my emotionless face as I twisted the knife before taking it out. Mal looked scared but quickly went to check on Alden. 100 EXP for killing, human, magicules increased by 100, you leveled up. All attributes increased by 1. A notification popped up as the slave trader dropped dead. Humans. They say monsters are evil when they do things like this to their own race. But isn't that hypocritical for me to say after killing 3 myself? I chuckled dryly. This isn't the time to think about it. On closer inspection, I saw the corpse emit a slight shadowy aura, and a single word rung in my mind arise. I knew I should do it, but deep inside, I didn't want to see them again, even as a shadow. Walking over his corpse, I went to check on Alden. His left leg was broken, but he was alive and unconscious. I sighed in relief. Even if I didn't know these kids, I didn't want them to die. "Do you know where the map is?" I asked, and she nodded, still scared after everything. "Aye, it's in his pocket," she answered. "Good then, let's go." "I will carry him," I told her, taking the map before picking him up and carrying him over my back. "We will need to get help from a priest who knows healing magic when we arrive in Roberto's," I told her and hoped there would be a priest who would do it for free. I sighed. Humans are greedy, and you never know if they would demand to pay to heal Alden's leg. After walking for hours, we were at the forest's edge and decided to take a small break. I could already see the mountains in the distance, about 8 hours of walk from here. While I was okay and could continue due to my higher status, Mal was tired, so I told her to take a quick nap. Taking this time, I brought up the daily quest screen. Daily quest, preparations to become strong. Press up X100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Sit up X100, incomplete, 0 out 100. Squat X100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Running 10 kilometers, incomplete, 3 out of 10. Warning, incompletion of daily quests will result in appropriate levels of punishment. I don't want to return to the penalty zone until I'm stronger and have a weapon, so let's do it. Press up X100, incomplete, 1 out of 100. Press up X100, incomplete, 2 out of 100. Press up X100, incomplete, 3 out of 100. Squat X100, incomplete, 98 out of 100. Squat X100, incomplete, 99 out of 100. Squat X100, complete, 100 out of 100. I sat down and rested until they woke up. After about 20 minutes, Alden started stirring awake. "Erg!" He groaned and slowly opened his eyes. "What?" He started but then suddenly shot up, and he shouted and looked around. I quickly went towards him so he didn't try to stand up. "She's fine. We made it out alive, but your leg is broken," I told him and tried to calm him down. "Kale, you're alive," he said, hugging me. "Where is she?" he asked after calming down. "She is sleeping near that tree," I said, pointing behind him. "What about the slaver traders and that dog?" "They won't be a problem anymore," I told him and looked up at the sky. "Erg, why is everyone so loud?" "Alden, you're awake?" she shouted and went to check on him. "It's getting late, and we are still about an 8 hours walk away from Rubrios, so let's camp here today," I told them before coming up with an excuse to complete my daily quest. "Here, take this just in case while I collect sticks for a fire." I gave the knife to Mal, walked deeper into the forest, and started running when I was far enough. "You've completed daily quest, preparations to become strong. Would you like to accept? Accept/refuse. Accept. The following rewards are available. Reward number 1, 3 stats points. Reward number 2, plus 100 magicules. Reward number 3, plus 100 magicules. Would you like to collect them all? Huh. So I didn't get a status recovery? Well, extra magicules are always welcome, but then again, I also got magicules instead of a random box. So what would I get for doubling the daily quest? I will see that when I complete that quest. But, for now, I should start collecting the sticks. I've been gone for over half an hour. Accept all. Remaining points, 0-3. Magicules, 1550-1750. I'm back, I said, walking out of the forest and saw Mal on guard before she noticed it was me and relaxed. Kale! Are you alright? You were gone for so long. You didn't get attacked by monsters or anything? Mal asked, circling me and looking for any injuries like the overprotective mothers in novels. It's actually a nice feeling having someone worry for you. I'm fine, Mel. I went too far and got lost for a while. I lied. I started piling the sticks, and Mal observed me. Kale, how will you start the fire? She asked. I didn't think about that. 20 minutes later, after remembering a survival in the wild without any equipment book I'd read in the library, I managed to start a fire. I read that book once while thinking about escaping my family and living in the forest, but I quickly scratched that idea after realizing how stupid it was. But, hey, at least it was helpful. We sat around in awkward silence. Are you sure about joining the church and becoming a holy knight? I tried to start a conversation. Yeah, we heard everyone could be trained to be Templars, even commoners and orphans, Alden said. Why do I feel weird when I think about the Holy Empire? It's like a feeling of safety but, at the same time, a feeling of fear in my body. You okay, Kale? Mar's voice snapped me out. Huh? You were staring at the fire for a while without answering, Alden sulked. Aw. Just a bit tired after everything, I answered quickly before yawning. We will keep watch. You can take a nap after doing everything yourself, Kale. Alden said while throwing more sticks into the fire. I nodded. Yeah. Wake me up in a few hours so we can change. Chapter 5, Capital City, Part 1. W. Thea. Kale, wake up. Huh? I opened my eyes but closed them immediately due to the brightness. Why is it so bright in the basement? Wait, this isn't. Right, I forgot. Is it morning already? Why didn't you wake me up? I asked, sitting up and stretching. You looked tired yesterday, so we didn't want to wake you up, Mal said and looked slightly tired. You did everything yesterday, so we thought you deserved a proper rest, Alden added. It was also when Matt's stomach growled. Stardot. She got completely embarrassed and looked away. I could find something in the forest before we went or steal food after arriving in the Empire. While stealing food isn't the best thing I could do, there isn't a choice when we don't have money, plus there is a high possibility of being caught. I thought for a second about the two options. I'll go to the forest and try to find some berries or maybe a rabbit we could cook, I told them before standing up and going towards the forest. Be safe. Mal shouted. Don't worry. I'll be safe. I told her before mentally bringing up the daily quest window. Daily quest, preparations to become strong. Press up X100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Sit up X100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Squat X100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Running 10 kilometers, incomplete, 0/10. Warning, incompletion of daily quests will result in appropriate levels of punishment. I should at least get the 10 kilometers run before we head towards the Empire. Found you, I muttered, slowly turning my head to the right, staring straight at another rabbit. The little animal was so scared by my gaze alone, so it started running away, but I wouldn't let him escape. I started running after it and caught it before even 2 minutes passed. "You know, for a little guy, you sure gave me some trouble catching you," I told the rabbit in my hands. It was also twice the size of an ordinary rabbit. "I hope you taste good," I said with an innocent smile. 50 EXP for killing animal. Magicules increased by 50. I should return quickly so we won't waste much time here, so I started running back to our temporary camp. Running 10 kilometers, incomplete, 7/10. Running 10 kilometers, incomplete, 8/10. Running 10 kilometers, incomplete, 9 out of 10. Running 10 kilometers, complete, 10/10. "I'm back," I said as I walked out of the forest, slightly out of breath, showing the 2 rabbits in my hands with a slight smile. "Are those?" Mal trailed off, practically drooling with stars in her eyes, when she saw the rabbits I had with me. "Yes, I got myself some breakfast." I then looked at them. "So what are you guys going to eat?" I asked jokingly. "Come on, don't be like that, Kale," she said, pouting. "I'm just joking," I replied, prepping the rabbits. The knowledge I got from reading all those books in my previous life is coming in handy these days. Before I got my sister's old and slightly broken phone, the only thing I could do was to find books in the school library where I read books about survival in the wild, learning about different plants and animals, but at the same time, I don't know how much they will help in a fantasy world. Reading and doing it are different things, but in the end, I managed to skin and butcher them. While it wasn't the best, it should be edible and get us through until we get to the Empire and find a way to earn money. "Here, eat up," I said, giving them the rabbit meat on 2 quickly made skewers. They each took one, and we tasted it. While many would say it was bland, for me, it was one of the best food I have eaten. It could maybe be because, for the first time, I ate a warm meal instead of the leftovers in my previous life. My family used to give me what was left after they finished, so most times, it would be vegetables or stale bread and some meat or fish on good days. I sighed and looked at the skewers for a while. I should stop thinking about my past life. This is a new chance for me. Maybe this life didn't start well, but I could make it good. After we finished eating, I looked at the sky. Judging by the sun's position, if it's the same as on Earth, the time should be 10 a.m. That means if we go now, we should arrive in Rebellos around 6 p.m. "Let's go. We can't waste more time just sitting around," I said and stood up. And so we set out towards the Holy Empire of Rebellos with Alden on my back. I just hope we can get a priest to heal his leg. We walked for 4 hours and could already see the city in the distance. While I could continue until we reached the Empire, Mal looked like she would pass out. I don't know if she got any sleep during the night, but having only eaten the rabbit and not having drunk any water for almost 2 days didn't help either. That's not including the fact that we were kept inside a room for God knows how long. "Let's take a quick break to catch our breath," I said when we found a tree we could rest under. "And no, I can see continue," she said in between breaths. "But I'm tired, so I can't carry Alden all the way," I said and crouched down so Alden could get off my back while also giving him a look that said I didn't call you fat. "Fine." She relucted and fell on the vibrant green grass. I didn't notice before, but the air feels cleaner, and the wildlife looks more vibrant in this world than in my previous one. I started thinking about my future plan in this world. After arriving in the Holy Empire, we will need to get Alden to a healer and somehow join the Holy Knights. The Holy Empire is one of the most powerful military powers in this world. So joining them until I'm strong enough would be good. Then when I'm strong enough, I will think about what to do next. But then there is also a big chance we will become a food supply for the vampires. Who would care if 3 homeless kids went missing? While I'm probably slightly stronger than an average human, I would stand no match against a monster. After resting for about half an hour, we continued toward the Empire and arrived at the capital city, Lune. If I remember correctly, the capital city of the Holy Empire is considered one of the most well-developed human cities ever built. having a powerful gigantic citywide barrier that encloses the entire capital city, completely shielding it from any external threats, such as monsters, spirits, and demons that try to enter without permission. Chapter 6, Capital City, Part 2. Mister, we need a healer? I said like a worried kid to the guard standing at the gates. The guard looked at us momentarily and then focused on Alden and his broken leg. Another one, he muttered. Clive, take these 3 to the church. He yelled to someone and allowed us to go through. We walked through the barrier, and I felt like someone had dropped a bucket of ice-cold water on me. No. It's probably nothing. As we passed the city barrier, a red-haired knight came towards us. He looked like the stereotypical knight who fights with honor. Follow me. I'm going to take you to one of our priests to heal that boy's leg, he said, and started leading us towards the church. Mister, are you a holy knight? I asked him. Well, yes, I recently finished my training and became one, he said awkwardly, scratching his cheek. Mister, do you think I could become a holy knight? I asked him with excitement, hoping he would tell me if a homeless boy like me could become one. I'm sure you'll become a good holy knight in the future. The church offers holy knight training for everyone, even orphans. That's how I became a knight too, he said and gave us a grin. He seems like a nice guy. Could you show us where it is, then? Sure, kid, but let's get your friend healed first, he said. The red-haired knight Clive guided us towards the church, and for some reason, he seemed more nervous the closer we got. We entered the church, and he led us to a room. Sir C. Clive, why are you here? A timid feminine voice asked. As I entered the room with my following behind, I saw a woman around the same age as Clive in nun clothes and a slight blush on her face. Ah. So that's why he was so nervous. Mississippi, Mr. Clive said he would guide us to someone who could heal my friend, I told her. She gasped when she saw Alden. Who could have done something so cruel to a child? Quick, lay him on the bed, she said, and practically dragged me over to one of the beds in the room. When Alden was on the bed, she started praying. Let the goddess Luminous bless this poor soul and heal his injuries. Recovery at first, nothing happened, but then her hand got a slight white shine to them before Alden's leg started healing. Is this how holy magic works in this world? If I remember correctly, holy magic is, in essence, magic that manipulates holy energy and purifies magicules via the power of the faith. But she prayed to the goddess Luminous, who is actually the demon lord Luminous Valentine. Is just faith enough for someone to use holy magic? Then if someone had absolute faith in me, could they use holy magic? I sighed mentally. This isn't something I should think about now. The glow dimmed slightly and then disappeared. The nun healing Alden looked exhausted, looking like she was running for hours without stopping. The leg is healed, but you will need to stay here until we can fully heal you, she told Alden, and Clive helped her stand and helped her to a chair. Thank you, miss, for healing Alden, I said and bowed in gratitude. How are you feeling? I asked Alden, who looked at his now healed leg. Like I never broke my leg, he said matter-of-factly. That's all? I just looked at him blankly. What are you expecting me to say? Nothing, I said and sighed. Oh right, Mr. Clive. Where do I need to go to become a holy knight? I asked the knight. I'll show you, and you don't need to call me Mr. Being called Mr. feels like I'm old. Just Clive is fine, he said, and then the nun spoke out. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Carly, and just like Clive here, you can just call me Carly, not Miss, she said and chuckled. I'm Kale, and this is Alden and Mai. I introduced us. Oh, and thank you for helping us. If you didn't heal Alden's leg, I don't know what we could do, I said and bowed again. You don't need to bow. I just did what everyone would do when seeing an injured kid, she said, waving her hands. Missed I stopped seeing the look he gave me. Clive, would I get a room I could sleep in if I become a holy knight in training? We don't have anywhere to go. I asked. Ah yes, all holy knights and nuns in training get a room and 3 meals a day. I smiled upon hearing that. Having somewhere to sleep and anything to eat is important. I don't know how long I would be able to go without eating since waking up in this world, I wasn't hungry. As we talked about that, my body froze, and I felt scared due to a powerful aura that entered the room. Holy Emperor Clive and Carly said in unison and bowed on a knee. You can stand up, he said, and I turned around to see him looking at me. Goddess Luminous wants to see you. Follow me, he said, and I could feel everyone looking at me with confusion. Huh? She wants to see me. Now it makes sense. How didn't I figure this out before? The adopted prince title and why this place made me feel safe to some degree. I hope I'm right. Otherwise, I will die, and I'm not strong enough to escape him. Okay, I said and followed him. No going back now. We walked through the corridors and up the church's stairs until we reached the highest level and entered what looked like a luxurious office with a desk on the left side of the room and on the right side 2 sofas with a coffee table in between. On one of the sofas sat a silver-haired girl with heterochromatic eyes wearing a gothic dress and holding a teacup. She put the teacup down on the table and looked at me. It seems you had time to think over everything you learned last time, she said and looked like she was expecting an answer. I don't know what we talked about, so I should probably go with the amnesia route. Sorry, miss. Since I woke up a few days ago, I couldn't remember most things besides my name, I said, panicking slightly due to her aura. She pondered about what I said for a bit. Sit, she said softly, but it felt like an order while pointing at the other sofa. Yes, ma'am, I said slightly too loud and sat down on the sofa. Chapter 7, Central City, Part 3. Luminous was looking at me, not saying a single word. This continued for a few minutes before she decided to break the silence. So you really don't remember anything? She asked, looking me straight in the eyes. No, I replied simply. Then let me introduce myself. I'm Luminous Valentine, your adoptive mother, she said and then smiled. I see then, She interrupted me before I could finish. Mom. You always called me Mom, she said, and I could hear Louis sigh. I see then, Mom, I said, and her smile got brighter, and another sigh came from Louts. I could even swear I saw flowers appear around her. I got the feeling Kale never called her Mom, I deadpanned. Status has been updated. The system message appeared, but that wasn't important, so I continued. Since I can't remember much, could you tell me more about me? That's not a problem, but first, explain why you smell of blood, she asked with an innocent smile, but the aura around her intensified slightly. You see, in order to escape the slave traders, I needed to, kill them, I said and started sweating due to her aura. Slave traders? Didn't he protect you? She paused. I see I will need to punish him later, she said, and I thought of running away at this moment but couldn't even move an inch. Seeing my current state, she stopped emitting her aura. Sorry, I got carried away. Louis, bring a healing potion, she ordered Louis, who bowed and was about to leave the room. There is no need. I'm not hurt, I said, but got ignored. Now that then, while we wait, I should explain everything, she said, taking a sip from the teacup that probably contained no tea. First, let's start with your name. It's Kale Valentine. Your mother was an orphan named Caroline and was one of my most trusted followers, but passed away a few months after your birth. After that, I took care of you personally until 2 months ago, you found out our secret and ran away. She paused for a bit to see if I was following. I had sent someone to protect you, but for some reason, he didn't, she said with her eyes twitching. I don't think that's how you handle your adoptive son running away, but I can't complain much. She did more than my family would do in my previous life. What was the secret? I asked, already having an idea. She seemed uncomfortable after I asked it but then sighed. You would find out sooner or later again, and it seems you are acting more mature now, so. We are vampires. Your mother was also one. Am I one? I asked, but I knew the possibility was little due to not requiring blood to survive unless I somehow became a high-ranking vampire and an overcomer at birth. Well, she could probably always turn me into one. But at the same time, am one fully human? I have a large amount of magicules for an average human, and I don't think I'm enlightened. Or it could be just because I have a reincarnated soul. No, she was still fully human, and I turned her into a vampire while she was pregnant with you. So while you aren't a vampire, you aren't a human either, she said and looked at me before adding, you are taking this better than I expected. Getting almost killed and needing to kill someone to survive probably does that. This just doesn't feel real to me yet. I told her, not knowing what to say otherwise. But what does she mean by not being a vampire or human? Then what am 17A damper or something completely new? We sat in a comfortable silence until Lewis returned with a healing potion, and I was forced to drink it even if I was perfectly fine. Is this what having a worried mother is like? So, what are you planning now? She asked after a while, having finished what was in the cup, and gave it to Lewis to take away. I thought about what to do from this point onwards. Firstly, I need to get stronger and then create an army so I can stay alive in this world. I took a deep breath before saying what I was thinking. I want to become stronger so I don't end up in the same situation. That's why I want to become a holy knight. I see that can be fixed. Your room has been kept clean so you can stay there. Lewis will show you where it is. Oh, and don't worry about the 2 humans you brought. They will get their own personal rooms and special training, she said and stood up before hugging me, and I felt awkward. If you do something stupid like that next time, I will lock you in your room for a month. It sounded like a threat, but somehow I knew she cared for me, which was funny for me, considering she is a vampire and a demon lord while I'm a human. I don't plan to get into any dangerous situations anytime soon, Mom. Sitting on the edge of my bed, I couldn't help but have a sad smile on my face. Kale had people who cared about him and just ran away due to finding out their race. I couldn't help but laugh at my own stupidity. Who cares about anyone's race if they treat you like their own family? Is it bad to envy myself? It's probably stupid, but I can't help but do that. He had everything he could ask for and just ran away. I sighed. It's not time to cry about my past. What happened has happened, so I should fix the mistake and continue my life. Status. Name, Kale Valentine. Titles, Adopted Prince. Level, 3, 50/400 EXP. Magicules, 1800. Stats. Strength, 15. Vitality, 12. Agility, 12. Intelligence, 12. Perception, 12. Remaining points, 3. She even gave me her last name, and I could only assume that the Valentine name is very important for vampires. Sigh. Didn't I tell myself to stop thinking about it? I should just complete my daily quest. Daily quest, preparations to become strong. Press up X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Sit up X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Squat X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Running 10 kilometers, complete, 10/10. Warning, incompletion of daily quests will result in appropriate levels of punishment. I started doing the press-ups, followed by the sit-ups and then finished with the squats. It took me about half an hour to finish without rushing it. You've completed daily quest, preparations to become strong. Would you like to accept? Accept/refuse. Accept. The following rewards are available. Reward number 1, 3 stats points. Reward number 2, plus 100 magicules. Reward number 3, plus 100 magicules. Would you like to collect them all? Collect them all. Remaining points, 3-6. Magicules, 1800-2000. I won't be able to level up at all while in the Empire. I can complete the daily quest and grow stronger until I would be strong enough to enter high magicule zones where the mindless monsters would spawn. At every level, all my stats increase by 1 point, and I get 3 extra points I can distribute due to the daily quest. While going for strength, vitality, and agility is my first thought, it wouldn't help me much during the years I will train here. While intelligence will not increase my mana or, in this world, magicules like in so many other novels, it will increase my memory and learning speed. I could focus on learning different styles of martial arts and mastering different types of weapons. Then, unlike skills that are gained through the voice of the world, magic could be learned. Yeah, I should focus primarily on intelligence and perceptions for now and change it later. I looked at myself for the first time in the mirror since coming to this world. I had black hair and gray eyes, and if I would guess, then I would be around 10 years old. It's a fresh start for me, and I should use it to the fullest. Chapter 8, Training, Part 1. Waking up early morning, I stretched and had a slight smile on my face. It was the first night I could think of that I slept in a comfortable bed and didn't wake up with my whole body aching due to sleeping on the hard floor with just a blanket. Then I almost got lost trying to find Mal and Alden's rooms. If Lewis didn't help me, I would really probably get lost. Seriously, I will need a map if I'm going to live here, and this is just the church. Roy would show me the underground empire and the sacred mountain where my mom spends most of the time. Yup, I seriously need a map. It's still weird to call her mom, but she at least allowed me to call her that, unlike my previous mother. I knocked on the door, and a moment later, a muffled voice called from the other side. Come in. I opened the door and saw Alden sitting on the bed with an annoyed expression on his face and Mal sitting on a chair next to him, peeling something that looked similar to an apple. Kale! Please tell her that I can move on my own, and she doesn't need to babysit me. Alden was the first to speak, seeing me, and before I could say anything, Mal decided to scold him. Miss Carly said that you should rest and not move around. She also said we shouldn't call her Miss. He grumbled. I chuckled at their interactions. So what happened after I left? I asked them. Nothing special, we just got our rooms. Mars' room is on the other side. It's surprising we got our own private rooms, she said, tilting her head slightly. But enough about us. What happened after you left? What did the Holy Emperor want with you? They both asked, and I started thinking about how to explain it to them. I can't say I'm the adopted son of the goddess of this church. Apparently, Goddess Luminous saw me when I entered the city and saw I had a pure and strong soul with the potential to become a saint, so she ordered the Holy Emperor to bring me to her. I told them the first thing that came to my mind. I should have thought about what to say before but didn't think about it after everything that happened yesterday. Wow, really, you can become a saint? Mal asked with stars in her eyes. Good, they bought it. But I don't think this will work on adults. I need to find a better excuse. I should maybe ask Mom for help. She would probably know what to say. Yeah, but I wasn't supposed to tell anyone. So could you keep it a secret? Only the Holy Emperor knows it. Of course, we won't tell anyone, they both answered immediately, and I could sigh in relief. It would be bad if they told it to anyone else. I don't want anyone disappearing out of nowhere. Well, I need to get going. My training starts today, and I just wanted to see if you both were okay. I wish I could also begin my training today. I'm perfectly fine after being healed, so why do I need to stay in bed? Alden whined, only for Mal to pull his ear. You should listen to what Miss Carly said. She is a healer and knows what's best for you. Sometimes I wonder who is the oldest out of them, seeing as Mal acts like the older sister at times. I was breathing heavily as I finished running my 10 kilometers run and continued another 5 as my new instructor demanded. The church has a second building for training new holy knights. It's located beside the main church, with rooms for all new recruits, a big dining room for everyone to fit in, and a large training space in the back. Usually, all recruits train there, but I'm a special case, and the one training me is the fake demon Lord Roy Valentine. He told me Mom thought she couldn't trust the humans to train me properly, so she ordered Roy to teach me. That's why I'm currently in an isolated area in the night garden that will serve as my training ground from now on. You can stop now, he said and took a small pause before continuing. You got good stamina for your age. Rest for 20 minutes, then we will begin your sword training. Yes, teacher, I answered and sat down, bringing forth my daily quest screen. Daily quest, preparations to become strong. Press up X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Sit up X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Squat X 100, incomplete, 0 out of 100. Running 10 kilometers, complete, 15/10. Warning, incompletion of daily quests will result in appropriate levels of punishment. So the hidden reward still exists. That's good to know, but I don't think I will do it today. I already have plans for what to do after finishing today's training. Roy, is there a library in the church I could visit? I asked him while wiping sweat off my forehead. Yes, there is one in the church, but you won't find anything they deem heresy, so it would be better to go to our library here in Night Garden instead, he said after thinking for a bit. What exactly are you interested in? Pretty much everything. History, magic, alchemy, martial arts, monsters, and others. Can you show me where it is after we finish? Of course. Now let's continue with your training. Your first lesson will be footwork, but before that, you should know a few things. When in a fight, he paused to see if I was listening before continuing. If you want to win a fight, you must always remember these things. Number 1, you should always stay calm and aware of your surroundings. Number 2, chivalry will get you killed. Deception is key. Number 3, always avoid falling into a predictable pattern. Number 4, striking at the right time and being close enough to actually hit. And finally, number 5, always be cautious. Never underestimate your opponent. I heard someone once say this: if your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are in accord, put division between them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected. There was more to it, but those are the basics you should remember. Now let's start with your footwork, and then you will be swinging your sword until you can't anymore, he said, giving me a training sword and started instructing me on footwork. This continued for 5 hours, with 4 spent swinging the sword until I felt my wrist would break. Chapter 9, Training, Part 2. Here is the library, Roy said, opening the door for me, and as I entered the large building, what greeted me was the largest library I had seen in my life. Well, the only libraries I saw were the one in my school and the public library, so there were few I could compare it to, but still, it was huge. The library consisted of 3 floors filled with books, and it would surely take me years to read them all. Thankfully I had time, but would I manage to do it in the time frame I planned? This is Lisa, the librarian. If you have questions, ask her. If there isn't anything you need me for, one will leave now. No, there isn't anything. After I said it, he bowed respectfully and left the library, leaving me and the librarian alone. Excuse me, Miss Lyra. Can you please guide me to the section of books on sword techniques and arts? I asked politely. She nodded and motioned me to follow her. She led me to the 3rd floor, where different signs categorized the bookshelves. It was easy to spot the section for sword-related books by the sword sign, and the text I somehow knew how to read, even if it wasn't English. Taking a quick glance over everything, I could see that the whole floor contained books about martial arts and was divided into 2 sections, the armed and unarmed arts. You will find everything relating to swords on these 3 bookshelves. Is there a specific sword technique you are searching for? She asked. No, thank you, but I don't have anything specific in mind yet. Very well, then I will return to my desk. If you need anything, Then ask, she said, and bowed before leaving the floor. I glanced over the titles of different books before picking out 4 of them. A Guide to Perfect Footwork, The Way of the Sword, How to Not Get Stabbed for Idiots, and Aura Fighting Methods for Beginners. They seemed like good things to learn as a start. While maybe picking 4 books at once is a bit much, my thought is that if I increase my intelligence and perception stat, it will allow me to read faster and remember it all. Perception should be connected to the sub-skill thought acceleration of the unique skill, Shadow Lord. So the acceleration should change depending on my perception value, or that's what I think. It's not like I will regret spending my point on these stats. Allocate 3 points to perception and 3 points to intelligence. Remaining points, 6 to 0. Perception, 12 to 15. Intelligence, 12 to 15. Well, then, let's start reading. I activated sub-skill thought acceleration, and my perception of everything slowed down significantly. It's quite an unusual sensation, as my mind functions much quicker than my physical body. I see. It's important to improve my physical abilities as well. If I have a high perception value but low physical stats and use thought acceleration, it could make me feel paralyzed. Just thinking that gives me chills. I need to spend my points on the 2 stats and physical stats to make the skill usable. It's a bit of a hassle, but my current ratio is sufficient for reading. I believe this means a 22% difference between the stats, so I need to maintain my perception and intelligence stats at least 20% higher at all times. Then lower the percentage when I start using the skill in fights. Do I overcomplicate simple things? Probably, but who cares about that? I shrugged. Let's see, all the books here are similar in size, around 300 pages, and there are 296 books on anything sword-related. In my previous life, it would take me 8 hours to read a book of this length. Assuming I have 300 books to read, and I read 3 books per day, I'll need to boost my thought acceleration to a $1 ratio to complete them. This would take me approximately 3 months to finish this task. Then I would only have the whole section with thousands of books about martial arts and God knows how many books about magic. Then I would have left history, strategy, tactics, and many more books. I have set a limit of 7 years to read through everything. There is no time to waste, I told myself, and started reading A Guide to Perfect Footwork. While it contains most of what I learned today, having all the information won't hurt. After I started reading the book, I lost track of time due to thought acceleration, not knowing how much time had passed. While for me, hours passed, it could have been just 1 hour in reality. I looked around to see if there was a clock but didn't find any. I sighed and made a mental note to get a pocket watch next time. But how would I get it? Do I ask Roy or Laus to buy it for me, or do I ask Mom to give me an allowance? I actually didn't think about it before because of everything that happened, but I don't have money, so I can't buy anything. And while I'm technically the prince, I can't just go to a store and say give it to me. Well, I could do it in the Underground Empire, but it feels wrong. I continued reading the book until I finished it and began on the second one, called The Way of the Sword. Hours passed, and I was completely focused on reading, not noticing anyone entering the floor until someone placed their hand on my shoulder. I jumped in surprise and hit my leg on one of the legs of the table before turning around to see who it was. Lou. Mom, what are you doing here? I asked after seeing it was her. I came to check on you. You were here for 8 hours. Have you eaten anything? She asked me like a concerned mother. 8 hours? I asked quietly, more to myself than to her. So my thought acceleration should be around a 2 to 3 ratio. Sorry, I just started reading and lost track of time. Strangely, I don't feel hungry even though it seems like I ate recently. I wonder if it has to do with my abilities. Sigh. It's not a problem, but you should eat. You look so skinny. You can take the books with you and read them later. She told me, and I nodded. Putting back the book I finished reading, I took the other 3 with me as we left the library. So, what were you reading all this time? She asked, looking at the books in my hand. Just books about footwork and sword stances. I still have lots to read if I want to learn everything I want. You have lots of time, so don't rush it. I was unable to keep track of time while I was at the library since there were no clocks here. Asking for things is not something I'm accustomed to, so I feel a bit awkward, but the worst thing she could say is no. Would it be possible for you to buy a pocket watch for me? That won't be a problem. Is there anything else you want? She asked like it wasn't a big deal. No, I'm okay. Just the watch is enough. Well, she is the queen of this place, so getting a simple pocket watch isn't a problem. After returning to my room, Mom had someone bring me food, and I also completed my daily quest, getting 3 points and increasing my magicules by 200 again. Chapter 10, Training, Part 3. When I woke up the following morning, I found a stunning pocket watch on the bedside table. Picking up the pocket watch, I examined it and couldn't believe she had gotten me something like that the next day. The face of the watch is a shiny silver color, with black numbers that are easy to read. The watch casing is made of durable metal with a smooth and polished finish. It is clear from its appearance that it is a high-quality and well-made piece. I couldn't help but smile as I looked at the watch in my hand. This was the first time I owned something new. In the past, I always had second-hand items, so this was special to me. After changing into fresh clothes, my personal maid assigned to me by my mom, despite my insistence that I didn't need one, arrived with food just a few minutes later. Although I wasn't hungry, I still ate before leaving to check if Alden and Matt had already left for their first day of training. Unfortunately, it seemed like they had already left. With nothing else to do, I went to my personal training area, where I found Roy waiting patiently for me. We will start with a light run, and then you will show me what I taught you yesterday before we begin with basic stances, he said, and I nodded before starting to do what he said. I finished the so-called light run, but for someone my age, it was actually quite challenging. Afterward, I demonstrated the footwork he had taught me the day before, combined with what I had read about. That was impressive. You seem to have learned quickly. The footwork techniques you just demonstrated, did you learn them from the books you read yesterday? He asked, expressing slight surprise at my fast learning pace. Yeah, I read a book about footwork yesterday, but I still have a lot to learn, I answered, not wanting to sound arrogant. That's good. Arrogance will get you killed, he told me before adding. Now, seeing as your footwork is good, I will show you basic stances. He demonstrated the stances, and although I struggled a bit, I was able to replicate them. In my past life, I've always been able to pick up new skills and knowledge at a pretty fast pace. However, I've noticed that my progress has been even more rapid lately, thanks to the boost in my intelligence stat. It feels great to be able to learn so quickly. It's also helpful to remember the pages of a book after reading it just once. In my free time, I review them in my mind to fully comprehend their meaning. It's important to differentiate between simply knowing something and truly understanding it. But learning is still much easier when someone demonstrates how to do something rather than just reading about it and trying to understand and implement it on your own. So while I will spend my time reading over everything I can, that doesn't mean I will slack off here when I have an instructor with over 2,000 years of experience. It would be foolish of me to do that. After finishing my training for today, I went straight to the library again. I put The Way of the Sword back on the bookshelf, having finished it before going to sleep, and started reading How to Not Get Stabbed for Idiots and Aura Fighting Methods for Beginners. But before I started reading, I checked the time difference during thought acceleration by looking at my pocket watch. I activated it and counted for a minute, then rechecked the watch and saw that only 40 seconds had passed. So it's just like I thought. The difference is 2:3. That's not enough, but I can't change it yet. I sighed before reading, let's not waste time. I kept to my usual routine for a month. I trained with Roy in the mornings, then spent my time at the library reading until my mom visited me, concerned that if she didn't, I would stay in there for the rest of my life. We talked about various topics, including her former nation Nightrose, which was destroyed by Veldora, or as she always calls him, Stupid Lizard. She also told me how she established the Underground Empire and the Holy Roberto's Empire. She explained how she used Timma Great War, which happens every 500 years. An event where an army of angels would descend from heaven and rain destruction upon the world to limit human society from advancing too far. During the time of chaos, she took advantage of the situation to establish her faith, positioning herself as a goddess. As a true demon lord, she possessed immense power, which made it easy for her to attract followers. The human survivors eagerly adopted this new religion and flocked to her in large numbers, laying the foundation for its eventual transformation into an empire. While I knew the basic information, it was very interesting to listen to a detailed explanation of how it happened, especially about the hero Krenoa, who was apparently my mom's teacher. The hero Krenoa. I don't remember much about it, but wasn't she the future Chloe and Hinata in one body or something? The whole time travel and time loop thing was a bit confusing for me. During our conversation, she only mentioned that my mother had become her most trusted assistant and was a saint before becoming a vampire. However, when I inquired about my father, she remained silent, but I could detect a hint of anger in her tone that was more intense than when she spoke about Veldora. What did my father do to anger her more than Veldora? I didn't know, and she wouldn't tell me, so I dropped the topic. I have also gained more points I could use and upgraded my status. Name, Kale Valentine. Titles, Adopted Prince. Level, 3, 50/400 EXP. Magicules, $1,200. Stats. Strength, 24. Vitality, 24. Agility, 24. Intelligence, 30. Perception, 30. Remaining points, 30. I kept up with the 20% ratio and spent a total of 63 points already, but it was worth it. Now I need 44 points to get my intelligence and perception up to 40. Not only am I able to do better during my physical training, I can also read more books in a shorter amount of time. Although I can currently read 3 books a day as planned, spending 8 hours a day here will not be sufficient if I aim to read everything within 7 years. I've become quite the bookworm lately, even more so than in my past life. I can't help but chuckle at the thought of my past self being envious of the current me. Lately, my life has been good. I smile as I flip through the pages of my current book. Chapter 11, Sunday, Part 1. I slept in a little today and did some stretching before getting out of bed. Even though I have special training, Sundays are free days for all holy nights in training, and I am no exception to this rule. My mother banned me from going to the library on Sundays, leaving me with limited options for how to spend my day. What else can I do? Go to church? I usually like spending this time with Mal and Alden exploring the city. My mom only forbade me from going to the library in the Underground Empire, not the one in the Holy Empire. We went there once, but Alden didn't want to read more, especially on his day off. Luckily, Mal agreed to come with me, and he instantly changed his mind, stating that siblings should stick together. Looking at the grandfather clock in my room, I checked the time, and it was 8 a.m., so I had time to get my daily quest in before I started the day. I completed my daily quest easily using the training ground in Night Garden. Although, if it weren't for the 10 kilometers run, I could have done it in my room. Since that wasn't an option, I used the training ground. After leaving the Night Garden, I arrived at the entrance of the church and found Mal and Alden waiting for me. "Why did you take so long?" Mal asked, excitement still present on her face. Ever since we escaped from the slave traders, she's been really happy and energetic. The only time she's not in high spirits is when she comes back from her training sessions feeling exhausted and complains about her trainer or, as she refers to her, actually Satan. She can't be that bad, can she? "I'm envious that the Holy Emperor is training you," she grumbled before chuckling. "Maybe we should switch places, huh? I'm good. I don't want to be trained by the hidden devil in the Holy Empire." I joked, but she just sighed. After walking for a while, I asked them about their training progress. "How's the training going, guys?" Alden responded first, "It's been tough, but I'm gradually getting the hang of it. Handling a sword isn't as easy as it looks." "Yup," Mal added. "However, we've been working hard and focusing on our footwork and mastering basic sword stances. I smiled at her and said, "You are doing an amazing job and will become a great holy knight." Mal blushed and looked away. "Thank you. It means a lot to me," she muttered the last part, but I heard it due to my enhanced hearing. Alden cleared his throat before asking, "How's your training progressing then?" After taking a deep breath, I replied, "I have been having a hard time keeping up, and I rarely have any free time." It was a half-truth. While my training is going smoothly, there is a lot I want to learn. Mal nodded sympathetically and said, "I can relate to that. It feels like the only thing I do is train and sleep." "We should spar sometime to see each other's progress," Alden suggested, to which we both nodded. As we leisurely strolled through the bustling streets of Lune, we were captivated by the colorful sights and sounds that surrounded us. The vibrant market was alive, with merchants selling their wares. The air was thick with the delicious aroma of freshly baked bread emanating from the numerous bakeries. As we continued on our journey, we couldn't help but be mesmerized by the magical artifacts on display. The trinkets' intricate designs and intricate details were genuinely stunning, and we couldn't resist taking a closer look at each one. As soon as I looked at the trinkets, I felt an overwhelming urge to learn more about them. If it were possible, I would spend days examining them closely in order to understand how they are made and the purpose behind the engravings on the magical ones. "Here he goes again." Mal sighed, looking over at me as I observed the runes etched into the trinket. "Just let him be," Alden said, shaking his head. "You know how he gets when something catches his interest." "I do," Mal replied with a small smile. "But it's hard not to worry when he gets so lost in it." I looked up from the runes and smiled at them both. "I'm not that bad, I'm 17. They laughed, and Alden gave me a friendly pat on the back. "Nah, man, we love you just the way you are. Even if we fear you would get so absorbed in something, you will forget to breathe." I chuckled and turned back to the runes. It's just so interesting to me. When I look at them, I can't help but wonder about their origins and how they can be used. "And that's why we love you, so don't change," Mal said before we resumed our exploration of the city. We stopped at the bakery to buy fresh bread and shared it with each other before. The freshly baked bread had a pleasant smell and a delightful, airy texture. Although I have only been eating like this for a month, it still takes some getting used to after years of less appetizing meals I had in my past life. "It's like eating a fluffy cloud of deliciousness," Mal commented, taking another bite of the bread with stars in her eyes. "Yeah, it's nice," Alden said and nodded in agreement. "You know what? I think I might have to get the recipe for this," Mal said, her eyes still fixed on the bread. "I don't think they will give it to you," I replied. Mal laughed and said, "Maybe they will. If not, I'll have to keep coming here every week." Alden agreed. "I wouldn't blame you. This place makes incredible bread. I want to test their pastries next time." The small blueberry tarts looked good. We wandered around the city and chatted until we decided to have the spar we had discussed earlier, so we started heading back to the church. Chapter 12, Sunday, Part 2. As we reached the empty training area, Alden and I grabbed training swords and positioned ourselves 10 meters apart. I asked Alden if he was ready, and he nodded, assuming his stance. We then waited for Mal's signal. I would adjust my strength to match my age to ensure Alden's safety. Because even with a blunted silver sword, it could end badly if I used too much force. I faced Alden, training swords in hand. We circled each other. I made a thrust toward Alden's chest, but he managed to block it just at the last moment. Alden stumbled back, surprised at my quick strike. I took advantage of his momentary confusion and followed up with a series of rapid strikes that he was unable to defend against. Our swords clashed, relentlessly pushing Alden back. I could see the sweat on his forehead as he struggled to keep up. Although I matched our physical strength, my superior stamina and extensive reading of sword-related books, coupled with my quick comprehension, allowed me to progress my swordsmanship at a faster rate. But, I must admit, he is quite impressive. After only a month of training, he has already achieved this level of swordsmanship. Then after around half an hour, Alden was too tired to continue. He lowered his sword and offered a hand to concede defeat. "You're really good," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "I need to practice harder to keep up with you." "Thanks," I replied, "but there is still much for me to learn," I said. Mal eagerly grabbed a training sword and exclaimed, "It's my turn to show what I can do." Alden stepped aside while we chuckled at Mar's enthusiasm. She chose to use a raptor, unlike Alden, who used a long sword, for our upcoming spar. We circled each other, searching for an opening. I swung my sword in a wide arc, but Mal was quick, darting in and out of range. She jabbed at me with her rapier, but I deflected it with my sword. We continued, and it looked like she was dancing around me, but neither of us was able to land a solid blow. Mal was nimble and agile, but my longsword gave me the advantage of reach. I lunged forward, trying to catch her off guard, but she parried my attack. In sword fighting, patience was key. It was something Roy explained during my first day of training. I needed to wait for the right moment, the perfect opening. And so I circled around Mal, watching her movements with intense focus. Suddenly, I saw it. With a quick feint, I drew her attention away from my sword, and then I struck. My blade connected with hers, and I watched her stumble backward, and I used that moment to win. It's impressive how quickly they were able to learn, while I felt like I was taking shortcuts by relying on my skills. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking about and exchanging tips on different footwork techniques and sword stances. I was able to provide a lot of helpful pointers since I have read more than a third of the sword-related books available in the library. So I pointed out the various strengths and weaknesses of each one. We also discussed the importance of footwork in sword fighting, with each one of us sharing our own tips and tricks for improving our agility and balance. As the sun continued to set, we practiced some of the techniques and stances we had discussed. We even shared a good laugh when Alden made a mistake with a footwork technique and fell face first onto the ground in a comedic way. He grumbled as he got up and asked, "Does my misery amuse both of you so much?" Without hesitation, we replied in unison, "Yes. Even my sister is against me." I feel betrayed, he pretended to cry, and we ignored him. "Why do we look so tired while you seem perfectly fine?" he asked, noticing my lack of exhaustion. "I've been working on my stamina." "You should try it too, because you never know how long a fight could last," I suggested. "But even with a month of training, wouldn't you still get out of breath?" he asked. "It's all about the breathing," I responded. "I read about it in the library, and it helped me." I lied. While I read about it once, I personally don't need it due to my stats, but they could surely improve with the help of it. Mal was curious and asked, "Can changing the way we breathe really make a difference?" "Yes, breathing only through your mouth can cause hyperventilation, and breathing only through your nose may not provide enough oxygen. The optimal way to breathe is to use both your nose and mouth to inhale and exhale, which allows for maximum oxygen intake." I recited what I'd read. "Then I'll do it. Then I could beat actually Satan," she replied with determination. "Yeah, but it's getting late, and we need to wake up early tomorrow, so we should head back to our rooms," I said, seeing as the sun was almost set. "Yeah, I don't want to be late again. The last time still haunts me," Alden replied, shuddering at the thought. "I tried to wake you up for almost 10 minutes, but you didn't wake up," Mal deadpanned. Once we arrived at the church, we headed to our respective rooms. As soon as I got into my room, I quickly took a shower before going straight to bed and falling asleep. Chapter 13, Krenoa, Part 1. What do you think you're doing? Do you really believe people would care about you if you got good grades? My brother asked angrily as he punched me in the stomach, making me fall to my knees. I was trying to say something, but a kick to the face interrupted me. "I don't want to hear your useless voice. I don't understand why my parents still keep something worthless like you around," he said as he picked me up by the shirt before throwing me into the dark basement. As I was tumbling down the stairs, everything changed. My mind was flooded with fear and confusion, and I couldn't help but wonder why I was being treated this way. I had always done my best to be helpful, but it seemed that my efforts were not enough. As I hit the cold, hard ground, I couldn't help but feel a sense of despair wash over me. I was trapped in this dark basement again, with no way out and no one to turn to. The hours ticked by slowly, leaving me with my thoughts and fears. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I was jolted awake from my nightmare. I was back in my own bed, covered in sweat and breathing heavily. Even after half a year, I'm still having nightmares about my past life, I muttered to myself and stared at the grandfather clock in my room. 6 months have passed since my transmigration here, and yet I can't get over my past life. Of course, my increased status doesn't help in forgetting it either. Speaking of my status. Name, Kale Valentine. Titles, Adopted Prince. Level, 3, 50/400 EXP. Magicules, 38,800. Stats. Strength, 50. Vitality, so. Agility, 80. Intelligence, 100. Perception, 100. Remaining points, 16. While I do not doubt that I possess enough power to fight mindless monsters, I understand that many different factors come into play when fighting opponents. For one, strength is not the only thing that determines the outcome of a fight. There are other important elements to consider, such as speed, agility, and strategy. I know that if I were to face someone technically weaker than me, they might still have the upper hand if they possess superior skills in these areas. That's why I have prioritized spending a lot of time in the library, studying and learning as much as possible about different fighting techniques and strategies. In doing so, I hope to exchange my practical experience with theoretical knowledge. In the end, it's not just about physical strength. It's about having a well-rounded set of skills and knowledge that can be applied in any situation. I sighed, realizing that I wouldn't be able to fall back asleep. So instead, I decided to head to the library and read until it was time for my training. Over the past few months, I've already read books on swordsmanship and have now begun reading books related to spearmanship and unarmed martial arts. Lately, I've been thinking about why I care so much about becoming stronger. Perhaps it's because I'm afraid of the future or I don't want to repeat the mistakes of my previous life. Although my life is vastly different than before, I'm not sure if I've changed much. I tell myself that reading in the library is to prepare for the future, but the truth is I feel safe there. It's the place where I feel safest, just like in my previous life. I'm still the same scared kid who craved the approval of my family, even though it was impossible. Even if the environment and people around me changed, I'm still the same. I spent hours reading before making my way to the training ground. Thanks to thought acceleration, I was able to read 5 books in just 1 hour. When I arrived at the training ground, I was surprised to see my mom and another person with Roy. The other person was wearing a mask, but I recognized them immediately. I could sense her watching me, even though she had no eye holes in her mask. It was as if she was studying me. I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease wash over me as I continued walking toward them, wondering what she knew about me. "Hey, Mom, is there anything special happening today?" I asked, looking at the masked hero standing beside her. "I haven't seen you around before." "My name is Kale Valentine," I introduced myself to her. "Roy mentioned that you've been making great progress in your training and that you should start gaining some real-life fighting experience," my mom said. "Personally, I think it might be a bit too soon, but Krenoa came by yesterday, and I asked her to teach you. I heard that you lost your memories, so you might not remember me, but I taught your mother how to fight," she said, sounding a bit skeptical at the losing memories part. I was wondering if I existed in the previous timeline. Would she know that I am actually an otherworlder? Maybe Kale, in the other timeline, was also an otherworlder, but what if he wasn't? I am starting to feel a bit nervous, but I don't think she would harm me. Well, at least, I hope not. 1H. Yes, I lost most of my memories, but I'm okay now, I answered nervously. She nodded in understanding without saying anything. My mom noticed that I was feeling nervous, and she comforted me by saying that there was no need to worry. She had complete faith in Krenoa's ability to keep me safe in case anything happened. But it wasn't why I was nervous. "Before you pack your things, I have something for you, she said, handing me a sword. This belonged to your mother, and she would want you to have it. I unsheathed the sword and held it in my hands. It was a beautiful-looking double-edged straight sword. It had a graceful appearance and seemed incredibly agile. Its sharpness was evident at first glance, and I could tell it had the power to effortlessly slice through anything in its path. It was truly beautiful. It's a unique grade sword. The blade is made of magisteel, a material that strengthens when exposed to magicules, allowing it to grow with its user, Mom explained while my eyes remained fixed on the sword. Chapter 14, Krenoa, Part 2. I spent what felt like hours admiring my new sword before turning to my new teacher and bowing as a gesture of respect. I'll be in your care. I will meet you at the city gates. Make sure to take everything you need before coming, said Krenoa. Okay, I said before turning to my mom. Till see you when I come back, I added as I hugged her. Listen to Krenoa and behave yourself, Mom said in a caring tone, and if you cause trouble, I will lock you in your room for a week. I am not a troublemaker. I always behave well, I assured her while hearing Krenoa chuckle from a distance. Going to my room, I swiftly gathered my belongings and wrote a brief note for Alden and Mal to inform them I would be away for some time. Then, I headed towards the city gates, where Krenoa was already waiting. As I left the city, I walked towards her, and she gave me a weird look seeing me having a backpack. Why aren't you using your inv? She began to ask before interrupting herself. Never mind, let's go. We can't waste time, she said, and we started heading east. Inv? I started thinking, and then it hit me. How could I forget about having an inventory? At that moment, a new screen popped up displaying 36 slots with a slider on the right side. My right eye visibly twitched at my stupidity. Having never had any use for it for the last 6 months, I didn't think about it. I lamented over the number of books I could have brought with me, but I didn't want to admit to her that I wanted to return for them. But now I was certain that I existed in the previous timeline and as myself, not the original Kale. However, I was confused about how we could still fall even though I was there with the powers of the Shadow Monarch. Actually, does it work like that? The whole time travel thing is confusing. But considering she knew who I was and knew about my inventory, I had it in the previous timeline. Could something change that in that timeline, making me weaker? But how do I start the conversation? Do I go and say something like, hey, why did you travel back in time? Oh, how do I know you can travel in time? I just know. Yeah, maybe not the best thing to say. We continued to walk as I thought of a way to ask her about the previous timeline but couldn't find a good way. The problem isn't just asking her about the previous timeline but explaining how I know she traveled through time. Just ask what you want to ask, she said with a sigh. Ask what? I acted confused. You know what, she replied. Know what? I asked again. She sighed in annoyance before muttering, always a pain to deal with. Deciding to stop acting like an idiot, I asked her, so you knew me in the previous timeline? Yes, I did, and you are as annoying as I remember. She said. But then, why are you here? What happened? I asked, wanting to know. The last timeline was the worst out of all of them. She said and tightened her grip into a fist. You were controlled by Michael due to your virtue skill and went on a rampage killing everyone. Didn't I do anything about that? I should know he could control me if I had a virtue skill. I asked, not understanding how I could make such an obvious mistake. No, before we even had the chance to cut you off from its influence, it was already too late, she said and took a pause before adding, your actions change in every timeline. This is the first time you have stayed in the Holy Empire. In the previous timeline, you went to the Eastern Empire, and he knew you got the virtue skill instantly. After she said that, we walked in silence for a long time before I decided to speak, so now that we know this and I haven't been in the Eastern Empire, I should be fine, and as you said, my actions change every timeline so there is also a big possibility I won't get the virtue skill. Well, we can't be sure that he won't find out if you have one and take control over you. She answered. Then I started thinking. Krenoa, I've been wondering why didn't you prevent me from being captured by the slaver traders? I asked. It was important that you got captured, otherwise, you wouldn't acquire your unique skill. She told me. Was there a timeline where you prevented me from being captured? I asked, wanting to know what would happen if she did. Yes. It was also the timeline where you were the weakest, she replied. I see, I replied. However, I'm curious as to why you shared the information about time travel with me. You joked about being a prophet. At first, I thought you were joking, but after all the times I went through this with you, I'm starting to believe it, she said with a chuckle. I wondered why I told her something so stupid, but it's not like it's a complete lie if reading is considered a skill. Then where are we going? The only place I can think of in that direction where we could fight is the Jura Forest. That's exactly where we are heading. You always seem to grow fast when facing strong opponents, she commented. I'm also curious about your unique skill for this timeline. Confused, I asked, what do you mean this timeline? Asterisk, as I mentioned before, your actions change in every timeline, along with your unique skill. Once, you utilized insects and venom, which was honestly the creepiest you I had met. She said, shivering slightly. Insects? I muttered, confused, but then it clicked. My unique skills change every timeline, and the character that uses insects is Krenoa, the Monarch of Plagues and Queen of Insects. Does that mean there was a me who had Monarch of Destruction powers? I shivered at that thought, hoping I would never meet that version of myself. I just jinxed myself, didn't I? Krenoa, have you ever seen multiple versions of me at the same time? I asked. I haven't. Why do you always ask about that? She inquired. I'm just curious, no particular reason, I replied, feeling relieved. Luminous Valentine POV. I drank another glass of blood-infused wine. It was the second one since my little Kale left with Krenoa. Roy, bring me another glass? I ordered. My lady, I think you shouldn't drink more, he said, looking at me with concern. I only had 2. One more won't hurt, I said, getting annoyed. Doesn't he understand how it feels when your son moves out for the first time? My lady, this is the 20th glass, he said before leaving and shortly returning with another glass. I'm just worried, I said, so he doesn't think I'm an alcoholic. What if she won't be enough to protect him? Maybe I should go and bring him back? The young lord is strong for his age, he said before handing me the wine glass. My lady, have you made progress in finding out what the race of the young lord is? He asked. I sighed, I haven't. He isn't human, he does a large number of magicules that seems to grow constantly, but the amount of vampire blood that flows in him isn't enough for him to be classified as a vampire. I rubbed my temples. I have been trying to find out his race for so long, but I'm still left with nothing. Krenoa seemed to know but won't tell me. URG. The glass in my hand shattered, spilling the blood wine over the whole floor. Why can't she tell me? Are we friends? How can I trust her to keep him safe if she won't tell me such simple things? Chapter 15, Jura Forest, Part 1. A couple of days passed, and we finally made it to the Jura Forest. After our talk, we started running, and she totally outmatched me in speed. She also said I was slower than last time. Why must she compare me to myself out of all people? This makes it hard for me to decide if I should be offended or not. I'm worried about Veldora showing up. What's our plan if he does? I asked, aware that I wasn't strong enough to battle a true dragon. We'll avoid him. It'll be easy to tell when he's approaching because he won't be able to control his magicules, she explained. For now, you will fight the magic beasts around the forest. I assumed that I would receive some training or a skills assessment before I was allowed to fight the monster, but it seems like she wants me to fight right from the start. Perhaps the fact that she has encountered different versions of me has made her confident that I could do it. Don't just stand there. Go in. I will set up camp here. You can return around midnight. Now shoo shoo, she said before shooing me away. Sighing, I started heading deeper into the forest before muttering, "Weren't she supposed to protect me?" Instead, she just told me to enter a monster-filled forest alone. If she heard what I said, she just ignored me, so I continued to go deeper into the forest, not sensing any monsters nearby. As I walked for a while, I felt a high concentration of magicules emanating not so far away from me. Following my instincts, I headed in that direction. It didn't take me much time to come face to face with a tiger that had a blade on its tall, sharp talons and large fangs. I remembered reading about this monster in a book. It was a magic beast that was considered the top predator in the Jura forest. They were known for using the skill voice cannon, which could create small craters and atomize targets. As I stood facing the blade tiger, I was surprisingly calm as it circled me, growling menacingly. However, I remained composed, gripping my sword tightly and focusing on my breathing. The tiger lunged at me, but I calmly sidestepped and swung my sword, narrowly missing its head. It roared in anger and attacked again, but I simply blocked the blow with my sword, feeling the impact but not letting it rattle me. We continued to trade blows, but I remained centered and in control. The tiger was strong and fast, but I saw an opening and struck with precision, slicing the tiger's hind leg. It roared in pain and tried to flee, but I pursued it with a clear mind. Finally, after what felt like a long battle, the tiger lay motionless on the ground. 200 EXP for killing Blade Tiger. Magicules increased by 200. I let out a sigh of relief, feeling proud of my first win. However, it was short-lived as 10 more Magicule signatures, similar to the first, appeared around me. I found myself surrounded by 10 blade tigers, their sharp claws and teeth glinting in the sunlight. I knew I had to act fast if I wanted to survive this fight. My sword was already in my hand, and I charged forward, slicing through the air with swift and precise movements. The first blade tiger lunged at me, but I parried its attack with ease and delivered a powerful blow to its side. It yelped in pain and backed away, but its companions were quick to take its place. I started dodging and weaving through the onslaught of razor-sharp claws, tails, and teeth. Every time I struck a blade tiger, another would take its place, and soon I found myself slightly tired. And finally, after what felt like an eternity of fighting, I struck the final blow. The blade tigers lay motionless at my feet, defeated. I breathed a sigh of relief, not sensing anything in my vicinity. I decided to look at the pop-up screens that appeared throughout the fight, and a smile formed on my face. 2000 EXP for killing 10x, Blade Tiger. Magicules increased by 2000. You leveled up x2. All attributes increased by 2. I felt excited to have leveled up 2 times in one fight, but my enthusiasm quickly waned when I realized how much EXP was required for my next level up. Name, Kale Valentine. Titles, Adopted Prince. Level, 5, 1050/1000 EXP. Magicules, 41,800. Stats. Strength, 112. Vitality, 82. Agility, 82. Intelligence, 102. Perception, 102. Remaining points, 25. While 1,600 EXP isn't that much, I'm scared about how much the next levels will require. If I go by the previous level that doubles the EXP required for a level up, then to level up from level 10 to 11, I would need 51,200 EXP. How would I even gain so much if a magic beast classified as a B rank only give 200 EXP? I let out a depressed sigh as I gazed at the dark aura surrounding the tigers. Arise! I commanded, and they were enveloped with a black substance before they transformed into shadows. 11 shadow blade tigers, bowing their heads, now stood in front of me. Hide in my shadow, I ordered, and they melted into my shadow. I won't fight with my shadows yet. I need to learn how to fight myself and not solely rely on them. I searched the forest for monsters, but despite the abundance of monsters in the area and Veldora's magicules leaking, I couldn't find any. However, I could sense his massive amount of magicules somewhere in the forest, like a raging storm. The mere thought of coming across Veldora here was frightening. It's not surprising since Veldora is famous for rampaging, causing destruction, and according to Mom, having a brain smaller than a goblin. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe for more content. Check out the Discord, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.